Hello, you amazing friends. I am honoured to be with Tremayne Murphy today. How are you, Tremayne? What's going on?
Edward, cheers. It's coffee time, and what a great thing. StreamYard, we're live across a whole lot of social media. I'm looking out into the garden right now, and much as it's locked down across many states in the country, Melbourne included, I have to say we still have to be thankful. It's a glorious day outside. So
I know, and it's so good to be on the live together. I only got LinkedIn Live approved last week thanks to Marlon. What are you thinking? I know this is only 33 seconds into your LinkedIn Live. What do you think so far, Tremayne?
Look, I think it's a brave new world. I can always look to you, Ed, when it comes to what's, you're always out the front with the tech and with what's happening in social media and digital. And look, I think I tip my hat to you. I think it is a new format. It's a new way to go, but I enjoy it. I think perhaps it's taking over from, only the privileged few who get paid to do talkback or whatever it is back in our parents' day. Now we've got influencers and people across all sorts of genres that are able to go live. So yeah, I'm excited. It's great.
I know now, and just as an observation as well, and I just want to say we've got 3 viewers live already. Hello to our viewers. If you're watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, smash that like, share, and comment. Say hello. If you are watching the recording, we thank you. And I just want to say as well, have you noticed that we're 2 handsome bald men? Do you have any remarks on that one, Tremayne?
Well, I brought you over to the Skull Crusher head shaver thing. I think when you were down in Melbourne, we were talking about our manscaping and the things we do, and you went out and got one. And I've moved on. I've moved on to a different shaver thing. But you know what? I think if you can wear a shaved head, then you're clearly fit, balanced, and someone who has a bit of flow. So yeah.
And also too, just want to say the legendary Alexander Kittle has said hello from Canberra. Big wave to you, Alexander. We love your work, Alexander. And Tremayne, I was going to say, what's on your mind? What are you thinking, my friend?
Well, Ed, it's good. I wanted to have a chat with you anyway, because back in the day, and it's a couple of years ago now, when you and I first spoke, I was a complete newbie in terms of LinkedIn, and it was to my mind, it was a glorified. Well, it was a digital version of my CV. It's like, okay, someone who wants to do business with me, they might look me up on LinkedIn to see who I'm connected with or where I've worked or that sort of thing. And well, it's been a number of years now, and I do a lot of content and a lot of different things. But I guess the world of LinkedIn in particular, and I gather there'll be a lot of people who are active on LinkedIn. We've seen a lot of people do that. It's changed. The landscape has changed, and I'm really interested. When I was at your workshop before the lockdown in Sydney, it was a real eye-opener to me. I thought I had it all pegged. I thought, okay, you talk to me about content, and what are the 3? There's you have to have content that touches on 3 things. You can't always be talking shop and sharing sort of insights on.
It doesn't work.
On
I tried that. Backfires very badly.
Yeah, because people get sick of hearing, not everyone's interested in offshore teams or scaling businesses or digital marketing, whatever it may be. So there's one post that's about obviously giving and letting people know you're an expert. The second post would be something where people can relate to you in terms of from a values perspective. So we buy from people we like and trust, and we know they're an expert. And the third one is just, I guess, having some fun and showing some personality. Am I right? Are they the 3?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, as a recap for our wonderful fans, and thank you for tuning in. Firstly, what we often say is you have ones called what we call as brand awareness. And brand awareness is more like general motivational stuff. It's Tremayne playing the bagpipes. It's you and your wonderful daughter at a trendy Melbourne cafe, right? It's more the fun motivational stuff.
Me playing the bagpipes could be scaring people off. I'm not sure yet.
No, I think that's definitely growing your brand. And you're a great player. And the second one, so you got brand awareness. The second one, of course, is call to action. And call to action is very tactical, which is very much, hey, book into this Zoom I've got coming up. Join our live webinar. In your case, if you want to, access great quality global staff, visit our website here to learn more. So one's like a sales post.
And I was, the interesting thing about that's that call to action. I remember when you did the first review for me on our content and what we were doing. And it was great because you were saying, hey, I really like your content. It's engaging. You know to look at the camera instead of looking at the screen.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, which is a classic one. You forget when you're shooting something on your phone or you're doing it. We kind of want to see how we're looking when we're shooting that. But I learned that. But the thing that I wasn't doing to start with was that call to action, Ed.
Yeah.
And you know what? When
No
you
one
said
does.
that to me, it was
No
that
one does
light
it.
bulb moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No one
like
does it.
it's like I didn't want to be salesy. I didn't want to sell on LinkedIn. But then, so this idea of just put it out there and they will come. It's a nice
Yeah.
one, but it's kind of like sales where someone puts in so much effort on a call or
Yeah.
on a conversation, and the client or the prospect is just waiting for them to ask for the business. It's like, well, do you want my business? But we
Yeah.
just never do.
Yeah.
So for people who are thinking about that, because there are some people doing a lot of spammy things on LinkedIn and other social media, like people
Which of course
try
we're
and get
against. Which of course
Yeah.
spamming's a bad thing. We are against spamming in every way, and we condemn it on every level.
So the key to a call to action on LinkedIn when it comes to posts is, should you be dropping it in the outro of a video? Like, you've given a video and you've given some great tips on something that you're an expert in, and at the end, is that outro we go, hey, and if you're interested in some more information, blah 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 blah, hit me up below, click on the link, do that. Is that, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got about 5 different answers to it. And firstly, I just want to say to Bronwyn Clark, great having you with us. If you just tuned in, like, share, and comment. If you're watching the recording, just remember how attractive you are. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so the answer is I'm going to give you a yes to all the above. So there's quite a few different ways you can do call to actions on LinkedIn. Same goes for Facebook and YouTube, by the way. But again, I'm more of a LinkedIn guy, so I'll stick to my lane. But basically the way it goes, Tremayne, is what we do very successfully is you can do a whole video giving tips. And at the end, hey, by the way, if you're interested in any global offshoring or getting some great stuff, send me a message on LinkedIn. It can be as simple as that. What I'm more talking to, though, is when you do an actual post just dedicated to selling what you're doing. So let's say in a day of Tremayne Murphy, you get up in the morning and you just do a video just talking about general motivation, right? Giving some ideas.
Yeah.
And let's say 11 a.m., you do a live with me, having a chat show, whatever. What you might do in the evening is just share your website and saying, hey, everyone, thank you for your love and support. I just want to share my website with you. If you're interested in getting some great overseas stuff, talk to me. We can look after it. So you got to be very direct about selling. Now, should you do sales posts all the time? No, and I didn't say that. But what you do is, if you're giving enough value over here, there's enough room to do a sales post over here. And that's why you got to have that content variety.
Yeah, and no one wants to have that Ken Bruce has gone mad type of, where it's just totally, it's almost, what's the word when the hustle, is it The Hustler, or that movie I've seen on TV where the guys, they prime someone with a number, and then like he's seen that number all the way through the day, and then eventually when he has to make the big decision for the bet that they're going to take him down on, he picks that number off the field because it's been put in his brain, programmed. It's like, you don't want to be priming people, because when they get so whitewashed with it, it does them in. Can I ask you, with that then, with the call to action, see, I like that approach where you're actually able to just build so much value over a period of time, and then to my mind, you've kind of earned permission to say, hey, if you want, hello, look who we have.
Hello. I need a lock on my door, so here we go. Continue.
Well, we've got it. Well, yeah, we've got an influencer. Those posts we did up in
She's already trending on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
He's trended a few times on LinkedIn already.
Cheeky. Yeah. So So with that, okay. So that's now. Here's my next question for you, because with the call to action, because it comes down to the nitty gritty, doesn't it? In terms of hit me up or send me a thing, and that's nice. That's sort of an invitation for someone to do it. But you can make it easier for someone through directing them somewhere or offering them something. What are your thoughts, and how does LinkedIn deal with sending somebody off of LinkedIn?
Look, I've had no trouble with it. So I've done, look, at the end of the day, there we go. Miss Piggy came and ran. She loves that, right? So I need to barricade the door next time. We love Miss Piggy. See, what I was going to say on that note, so several answers to that one, awesome, Tremayne. So firstly, I do a lot of posts that include links in them, like as in the body of the post, and it works fine. Like I've put up photos of no links and gotten 500 views, and I've done posts of links and gotten 4,000 views. Okay, so so the way I like doing it, I love to share people to a website link, right? Like, be it you sharing it to your main website where they can learn more about you, right?
Yeah. Landing page,
pages.
something that gives you more information. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one which I do all the time is you can send them to, like, you might, for example, be running a weekly Zoom or live webinar. You can send them to your live webinar page as well. So a call to action can be, hey, check out my website if you want to become a customer. It can also be, hey, I'm running a free webinar coming up. Click here to book in.
Yeah, I like it. And what about so that's okay? So that makes sense to me, and I think that's good. And I've tried that. What about, and there are some people I've spoken to who've talked about not posting a video, your video, like basically letting the video that you post be something that's actually sitting on YouTube, for example. So you kind of cross-referencing, and my initial understanding, I think it was from back in the day, where you're kind of taking people with the video off of LinkedIn and I've not seen that work very well.
Yeah, and you're correct. Now there is a problem, and I'm going to have a shot. And I love LinkedIn, and the problem with LinkedIn, and again, believe me, I carry a lot of water for Microsoft and LinkedIn. You only have a 10-minute upload limit on LinkedIn videos, right?
Yeah.
I wish they'd extend that. If any, like, make it an hour. I wish someone from LinkedIn would make that an hour, right?
Yeah.
So that's the problem, right? So look, basically, this is what I say to people. You have as I do this StreamYard, you've got a 10-minute limit on your video. So here's the point, right? From a LinkedIn point of view, you do not want to send people to YouTube, because you're going to get less views. So, for example, if I put a video straight into LinkedIn, I might get 500 to 1,000 views. If I refer them to YouTube, I might get 500 views of the post, but only 3 or 4 people will actually click it to go to YouTube.
And for people in understanding that, whilst you're a global influencer, you're 100,000 followers here, you're getting millions of reviews on Google and all that type of thing, and your space is marketing, digital marketing, networking, and that's the arena that you play in. For a lot of business owners, such as myself and Devang and others that are perhaps in fin services, I guess the notion of getting on camera or going on LinkedIn and going on there and doing videos and thinking about views, it kind of we think immediately about the sort of the millennials, where they're either YouTubers or the Instagrammers or they're like the kids sort of wanting popularity. But in this day and age, I want to put it to you, because I mean, I had a massive paradigm shift when you and I last caught up in the Sydney workshop, which highly recommend everyone. You should get to the online workshop for Edward. It's terrific. I moved away from shooting just straight out raw videos on my phone and just putting them up immediately. I sort of moved into trying to produce my videos a bit more so I could repurpose them and style them and do a whole lot of that stuff. But just on that weekend, we got a whole lot of content done. And then the notion of just sharing with people things that I didn't think people would really care too much about, the fact I was hanging out with these people or I was doing these things, but people loved it. It's like they kind of feel connected, and it's like you're bringing them into your social network as much as it being about business.
Yeah, and that's when you got to look at the backstory of LinkedIn, and a lot of people don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you now. So Microsoft and Bill Gates owns LinkedIn. Okay, and there's a bit of trivia behind it, because I've always been, friends with Microsoft people. So I've always had a foot in the door of Microsoft for the past, 10 years, right? Yeah. And then these are the reports that I was getting, that Bill Gates has always loved LinkedIn. And you'll see a lot of this in the media as well. So Bill Gates himself has always loved LinkedIn, and he's always talked about buying LinkedIn, right? And he always jokes, I'm just waiting for the share price to drop, then I'll buy it, right? So Bill Gates personally is a LinkedIn buff. He always has been, and he's always wanted to buy it, right? And what's interesting about it is that, this is the other internal intel that I've had, is that Bill Gates actually created an idea like LinkedIn years ago. So he had a dream that one day people would use Microsoft as a social network. He'd have some kind of Microsoft social network, right?
Yeah.
And he was actually thinking about creating his own LinkedIn, as it will, his own social network. And then he realized, I got to buy LinkedIn. So what he's actually done is LinkedIn is now, if you think of it as the Microsoft social network, that's basically what LinkedIn has become, right? And that's exactly what Bill Gates has envisioned. He's always wanted a Microsoft social network. Now, this is the way now a lot of people might hear that and think, hang on, I don't want this Facebook stuff, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I agree with you on that one, by the way. The point that I'm making, though, is that what makes Facebook's so bad. Again, I'm not here to bash Facebook, but I am here to tell the truth, though, which will involve bashing Facebook. But what makes Facebook so bad and LinkedIn so powerful is that it's social in a professional sense. So it's, and you got to think of that. So what I say to people is, a lot of people will put stuff on LinkedIn. Like, think of it. Imagine if you're employed, if you are employed, if you're watching. A lot of people will put stuff on Facebook that they would be embarrassed if their boss or their work colleagues would see that.
Yes, that's true.
LinkedIn's that you can put social stuff, but would you be comfortable with work colleagues seeing it? So in LinkedIn's own words, LinkedIn is a professional networking platform. And through my internal intel, it's like the Microsoft social media network. So at the end of the day, put personal stuff on LinkedIn, but do it in a classy way. So imagine if you're at work, would you be comfortable with your work colleagues and your boss seeing these photos or videos of you? And if the answer is yes, you might consider putting it on LinkedIn.
You know, it's interesting. It's and there's a lot of people talking. I know others that are content creators and doing a lot. And by content creators, I think the big shift is that, you know, the idea, you can certainly pay an agency like back in the day where you would pay an agency to write your copy and to run your ads and to do all that sort of stuff and to do digital marketing. But what really bodes well from what I've seen, and certainly speaking to clients who are, you know, in larger organizations, significant headcounts and all of those sorts of things, is where people feel like they can relate to someone senior within the organization, to the director, CEO, the COO, because that person's actually making themselves a little bit vulnerable and talking on LinkedIn. And that's a big paradigm shift, I think, for everybody, where it's not just about the super polished ad that goes out that's slick or entertaining. It's actually, there's a real person. It's a bit gritty. Maybe there's a kid screaming in the background because something's happened, or the dogs run by. You know, like everyone's been brought down to sort of a base level, I think, with the pandemic perhaps. And
absolutely.
You know, I think you're right. And to your point, Facebook, certainly there are things, well, there've been cases with people losing their jobs because of what's gone on up on Facebook, hasn't it? It's really crossed the line, and in terms of that, you know, Yeah.
And on that note, again, I'm not here to bash Facebook, but I'm here to tell the truth, and that will involve bashing Facebook, because that's what the truth will do, right? But and I've heard this a lot.
Is there a circular nature in what you just did? Whoa, exactly. There you go. Is there a circular nature in what you've just did there? I think there is.
Totally, it totally is. Very circular logic. The Bible said so. I'm a Christian, so I'm allowed to make fun of Christians.
I feel like I'm being primed here. There's neurolinguistic programming going on, Ed. Yeah.
The Bible said it's true, so therefore what the Bible says is true. There you go, psychological.
Yeah, it's like the TV said it's Homer Simpsonville, isn't it? The TV said it's true.
But I was going to say, though, I lost my train of thought. So when it comes to, you know, content and being vulnerable and that sort of thing, where Facebook has really slid lately, and to me, it gives you a good understanding of LinkedIn, is that I'm not the only one saying this. Facebook has turned a lot into Twitter lately, right? And I've had every day someone reaching out to me saying, Ed, I've had a lot of people say to me, Ed, should I delete my Facebook account? Or Ed, I want to delete my Facebook account because just the amount of hate that's on Facebook right now. And what's interesting about it is that Facebook has really gone down the Twitter path. I mean, if you want to see hate, look, Twitter is built for hate, right? That is the ultimate hate platform, right? But Facebook's heading in the Twitter direction. It's becoming a real platform of hate. There's just hate everywhere. There's this camp here. There's like the anti-vaxxers, the pro-vaxxers, the gay people, the straight. It's just terrible, right? It's just all these camps hating on each other. And what I love about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn's got none of that. LinkedIn is full of normal people, where Facebook has degenerated in different tribes or camps attacking each other. And and I know we're both like this. We're all about inclusivity, and I mean, Facebook's doing the direct opposite of inclusivity.
Yeah, and look, it's interesting. So on that note, with LinkedIn, so for people who are stepping into doing content on LinkedIn, and I know I have to say the first few videos I did, oh my God, you feel so incredibly vulnerable by the whole thing, because it's like you're just preparing for the fact that it's crickets, and you might have peers or people that you would look at and go, well, you know what, I've been at a conference with that person and I've presented, and I know I can probably present as well as them, or our offering is as good. And you see them on there and they might have a whole lot of validation through likes or views or comments, and you're about to step into doing your first video. And what I'd like to say to people is, if that's where you're at, you know, get some advice, speak to, to Ed or Lassie, and talk to them about the model, because the first sort of month or so can be pretty scary. You are pretty vulnerable, and all it takes is for someone to come up on you and to say something that knocks you off, and you can run away, because like you are really, a lot of people hate photos of themselves, never mind a video. And if you're putting that on a network professionally, it can be terrifying. But the interesting thing is that there's two categories, I think, of people on LinkedIn, and I'm simplifying it down, but from the perspective of the critical observer, if you know what I mean, Ed. So I've done some outreach on LinkedIn as well, softly, just connecting to people I want to have in my network, and also offering to invite them to a webinar or share some resources with them. And when I started that process, I don't mind admitting I got it wrong. Okay,
who doesn't?
The copy wasn't right.
Yeah.
And there's two camps that people sit in. There's one camp, which is, excuse my French, but bleep off, don't sell to me. And it's like an immediate, that's it, you're out.
Yeah.
And you're dismissed as someone who does that. It's like, it's unthinkable, because maybe that mindset of that person is, how dare you try to sell to me on my CV platform, being LinkedIn.
And I bet you those people are busy selling to everyone else. So I bet you they're
they've got a DM campaign going. They're sending mailbox drops out. They've got Ken Bruce has gone mad, radio ads up, of course.
That camp are a bunch of hypocrites. And I know a lot of people in that camp. Yeah. And it's classic projection. What they accuse you of doing, they are absolutely guilty beyond reasonable doubt of doing.
And the second camp of people, which is an interesting one, you'll get a response, and the response can be, oh, look, I don't have a need for that right now. And, it's polite and it's understanding. Or they might say, oh, look, if you're trying to sell me this, I'm not really interested. And there's that, they want to just tell you to take a hike, but because they're good people, they're actually kind of coming back with this warmer response.
Yeah.
Or the third one, so there's not two, there's three. The third one is someone who's been down that path, and they go, mate, your sales copy's not working, rewrite it, because they figured it out. If you want a hand, I'll share what I've done. Because, I mean, we're all on there, yes, to build a social network. Yeah. But we're also on there because we recognize it is a platform, a significant platform. I mean, from engaging you guys and what we did back in the day to now, and how that's grown, I don't mind saying that through LinkedIn and our network, that's where 90% of our new business comes from.
Well, exactly. And you've got to look at exactly what it says. And in Microsoft's own words, LinkedIn is a professional networking platform. It's designed for getting professionals to network with each other. That's exactly what it's for, right? That's exactly what LinkedIn is for.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it, so if you're professionally networking, you are allowed to sell to each other. But as I said before, I don't mean in a spamming way. You do it in a respectful way. And that's one of the reasons why I love live webinars so much. Invite people to your live webinars, and the audience self-selects whether they want your products or services or not.
Yeah. And so this idea that there's lots of noise on LinkedIn at the moment, and therefore, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. I don't think that that's necessarily true. And I don't mean that we shouldn't be prolific in terms of being prepared to be present and share and put a lot of content up. I think that's important. And you sort of have highlighted that for me. But I think what it comes down to is, if you're finding that the conversations you have, whether that be through the webinar or whether that be through the copy that you're using to send some messages out, or whatever, or your email strategy, whatever's working, is falling on deaf ears, or you're going to always get some people that just react because they don't read it and they see it and they categorize it. But if it's strongly negative, then like anything, just do some sales training on how to actually engage and sell with somebody. Because what translates to a conversation that you might be used to face may not at all be the type of conversation you might need to have via a message. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think what's very important on that one is that it goes back to what you were saying before, Tremayne, and what you do so well. So what you do amazingly well, and I know our audience absolutely agrees with this one, is that you're an absolute master of sharing that personal content. You do the bagpipes, you share great photos, you do cool stuff like that. That personal stuff gets everyone much warmer to you. So, so let's say you're messaging your connections, inviting them to a live webinar or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
If they're seeing your content and seeing the personal side of you, your messaging is going to work way better because you're not just some random person messaging them. You know, they know who you are and that sort of thing. So I think you're absolutely spot on. And that's why it comes down to sharing really good content. And there's a saying which I absolutely condemn on every level and I disavow in every way, shape, and form. But you have this old saying called fake it till you make it, which to me is the complete, it's just dishonest. It's just advocating dishonesty. And it's a terrible thing to say and a terrible thing to think. And at the end of the day, if you're putting out who you are and you're being quite personal and authentic about it, some people are going to hate on you for it, but the ones that stick around are really going to buy into what you're saying. And it's going to help your messaging work way better. So I love where you're going, Tremayne.
Yeah. Well, what's the old saying? We buy from people that we like and trust. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That idea. Whilst you obviously need to be someone who knows the stuff and has a value proposition in what you're doing, so there's to be value there. But people who are faking it, they inflate achievements, they inflate numbers, and for anyone who's got half a head on their shoulder, you can see through that stuff in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Now, Edward, have a drink. I want to pick your brains. I know I'm drilling you today, but if I'm really wanting to pick your brains, you know, we back some time ago we did one webinar.
Yep.
And Devang and I were, you know, we practiced for it, we rehearsed, and thank you for your advice on doing it. You know, we had, I think, 200 people accepted to come to our webinar. And this is a webinar on offshoring and VAs. I mean, who really wants to take time out to go to a webinar on that? But people were interested, and we were amazed. We felt in the moment a little bit like rock stars. But, you know, you've got Murphy's Law, and you've got the look of the Irish that happens here with me, to be sure. So just to give people a sense of it, how things can turn out. I think a conversion of 200 people saying they would attend, we would have been happy if 20 people were to show up. I think about 35, just 36 or 7 people did show up. So we were absolutely stoked by that. But we stuffed up the link with our Zoom or whatever we were doing. So there were people trying to get in all the way through this webinar that couldn't actually get into our webinar. It was one of those logistical things. So we just went ahead and we did it and we recorded it. And then we came back to all 200 people and we sent them out the recording. We apologized. We did those sorts of things. And you know what? People from that actually came on board. We have people from that event and from the recording even that became part of the family at 24/7 and are clients now. So we know webinars can be terrific. But with all of the options now, like webinars and podcasts and lives and all of those sorts of things, what would you say? Because I'm considering now getting back into the world of doing maybe once a month a webinar.
Absolutely. Great move.
But I don't know that people are going to want to hear from me and Jean or me and Devang, for example, once a month, every month about offshoring and business and answering questions. It's sort of the thing where we've already created a lot of the video resources. We've created all of that material. What are your thoughts on how to manage that? I mean, if I can get 200 people accepting and 35 turning up once a month, that's going to have a profound impact on our business growth. So I know that webinars can work, but a lot of people are doing them now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So several points there. A lot of people are doing them, but also a lot of people aren't. Right. And what I mean by that weird double speak is actually not that many people are doing it. And I'll give you an example, right? And this may suit you, by the way. I used to use GoToWebinar, but I moved away from it only recently because Zoom has just taken off as a platform. So as a lot of you know, I used to be very critical of Zoom. I used to be very dark of Zoom. But over the past year, Zoom has just done nothing but a great job. So I fully commend the team at Zoom. So I use Zoom all the time, right? I use StreamYard for this sort of thing, but Zoom for like running events. Now, what's interesting about this whole process is that the easy way out is you make it a networking event. In a way, a bit of a variety show. So, because the thing is,
you've already beat us to the chase on that one.
Yeah, but what I mean is, if I did every week an event on LinkedIn, it's going to get boring. But so I do webinars every week and I do a different topic every time. But what you could do is you could have like the monthly Tremayne meetup and you have a guest speaker. So you talk a bit. So you have a guest speaker, you have a bit of networking, you talk a little bit about offshoring. So you might have a different speaker every time with a lot of networking. So it gives people more reasons to come. So what I found for live webinars, people want to do 3 things with events. This is what I've learned. And not just webinars, but I learned this when I was doing a lot of face-to-face meetups pre-virus. People want to do my view is 3 things at an event. They want to learn something new, make some new contacts, and they want to have a good time and feel good. So if people come to one of your events, be it face-to-face or online, if they learn something new, make some new connections, and they walk away feeling good, they're going to become a fan of yours. And two ways I can go. If they need your services, they'll consider you for what you have. And if they don't need your services, they'll definitely start sharing and commenting on your content, and they'll gladly refer to you. So you might do that. It might be the Tremayne Monthly event. You have a guest speaker. You talk about offshoring as an undertone, but you might have a different topic every time. And I think for you, that would kick ass. And so I think maybe in your case, do a monthly Zoom.
Bagpipe lessons, I think, would go down very well.
But on the first one, you should play the bagpipes as part of it. Like there should be like halfway through, you do a bagpipe slot. That will be hilarious. So you might have a guest speaker, bagpipes, bit of networking.
The bagpipe thing came out on a Wednesday. I think it was a hump day type of thing to start with. And I thought, you know what? People generally respond one of 2 ways to bagpipes. A lot of people love them, so why not? I'll do it. So it's actually been an interesting way forward. I want to ask you with webinars though, because for those people who haven't gone down the path of doing a webinar, there are a lot of options. And I mean, they can obviously have a chat with you, with the marketing vault, and with I think you've got a massive program in there on webinars. Yeah. But for what's the latest update? Just as a quick snippet for people with a webinar, you've got people they've accepted, they're coming, they've shown up, they've been part of it. Do you recommend having people engage with you just through chat whilst you're on video presenting? Or would you bring them into being on video but just allow them to talk when they need to? That's the first question. And my second question is, what would you recommend as the best approach in terms of the follow-up? So because someone's turned up and you've given them some time, you've given them some value, you're sending them the pack or whatever, is there permission there from your perspective to then try and look to move them to a conversation on a call, or to engage them?
So several answers there, and I do both. So one is that if I'm presenting on a given topic, right? Yeah. What I do is I might mute everyone and just say to people, and you can also stop them from unmuting. So on Zoom, for example, you can mute everyone, and you can say ask to unmute, meaning that no one can unmute and interrupt, right?
Yeah, so you can have question time when you need to, and you can still run to time. Yeah.
So if I'm doing on Monday nights, we do our live webinars, which is more educationally driven. I actually mute it for half an hour. And what I do is I'm doing all the talking, but people can chat and ask questions and network with each other.
And so you have someone else monitoring. Would Lassie monitor that while you're facilitating? You do both.
Just me on my PC, right?
Yeah, right.
Me doing both at the same time. Then once I finish the content, what I then do is I then let people speak, and people can ask questions, they can say hello and that sort of thing. And that works really well. With my more networking only events where I just do networking, that's a bit different. That one, that's based on people saying hello. So it's more me getting everyone to say hello. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I thought
you don't want someone stealing airtime as well, because you want to respect the audience's time. If you say an event's going for half an hour and it's you're presenting on something, you want to be able to do that and give them the time. What about once someone's left the event?
Note, if you get someone who goes on, you just interrupt them politely. And you got to remember with Zoom, ultimately with Zoom, you can mute them or in extreme cases, kick them off the call. So at the end of the day, right, you got to, so what I do is when people are introducing themselves, like let's say I got 40 people on the Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And I might say, look, just half a minute only, right? At the end of the day, if someone goes on too long, I just interrupt them. And Bronwyn Clark made a great share from on the platform. And she says this as well. Good point, Bronwyn. I've never actually done this before. Breakout rooms are a great networking opportunity of workshop ideas to prompt them. Have a scribe and share top 5 ideas. Exactly. I've never even once used a breakout room on Zoom, but breakout rooms are another option as well. But whatever the case is that if you're as the webinar event leader, you have to be very good on time. So yeah, if someone's being negative or derogatory, you got to interrupt very quickly. So we've had people sometimes say, off the wall sexist or racist stuff. I just jump right in.
worth a practice. Like, do a run through and record it with some family and friends and people that you trust to get the feel of it, I guess. What about running? So with a webinar, then in terms of a call to action afterwards, would you? Well, there's two things. I guess people would probably be thinking, what would be the best way to advertise a webinar? Is that where having, like, should you be sending out thousands and thousands of invites to people on LinkedIn or via direct messaging, or should it be through your content, or just all of the above?
All of the above. So what I do is and this is a general thing that works well for everyone, is that let's say you're using Zoom for, I'll tell you what we do, right? So instead of me just making up stuff, I'll just say exactly what I do. And obviously it works, right? So we use Zoom. Love Zoom. Again, I'm one of those people. I used to hate Zoom and say Zoom this, Zoom that. So I've gone from hardcore critic to madly in love. So I think Zoom's a great company with great people. So pro Zoom.
You're never one foot in or one foot out, Edward. You're like you're completely there, both feet planted.
Yeah, I was very Zoom. I was very mayor on Zoom, but Zoom won me over. Zoom melted my icy heart, so that's all I can say. They melted my icy heart with Warm Island songs. But anyway, but basically what you can do is, what we do very well is we use LinkedIn events, which is outstanding. So you get your Zoom link, you're listed on LinkedIn events.
Yep.
And you can share the LinkedIn event. That works really well. You can also do posts on your LinkedIn and Facebook feed saying, here's our event, book in here for it.
Yeah.
Not for everyone, but for more the advanced users. We also use Meetup as well. So Meetup is its own social media platform, which is just for events.
Yes.
And before I took off on LinkedIn, I used to run a lot of face-to-face meetups. So we use a combination of LinkedIn events and also Meetup to fill our events, which Meetup's a bit like Eventbrite for those that don't know Meetup. But that's too complex. Easy way, just use LinkedIn events, Zoom link, and just stick with that. And that is a great place to get started, because what people do is you have the Zoom link, be it Meetup, Eventbrite, or LinkedIn events, that handles the booking, the reminders, and all that side of things. And of course, Zoom is the platform that you deliver the experience through. The video platform, obviously.
Yeah.
Or you might, a lot of people are using Microsoft Teams now. So you've got Microsoft Teams, which is coming to prominence, in Zoom. So pretty much Zoom owns the market, and you've got Microsoft Teams just nibbling away and growing. So who knows? If Zoom keeps doing the right thing, I'll stay and love them. If they start slipping, I might be on Microsoft Teams one day. So we'll see what happens, because I do love Bill Gates.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's terrific. And, I know from speaking to the amazing Maria Padisetti from Digital Armor,
we love Maria Padisetti.
Yeah. And she's, they're a Microsoft partner, and they do amazing work across digital support, IT support for in the outsourcing space in Australia. And I know she runs some amazing webinars and finds that it's a terrific way to engage people who are serious. And as long as your content's solid and it adds some real value and you're respectful of the audience, is a great way to grow. So I'm going to take it on what you've said. I think webinars, I'll get the offshore micro series back up, Edward, and look at a webinar with that. And then can I ask you, so in terms of LinkedIn,
just on that note, though, if I can just say one thing on that note, and I know I'm already persuading the persuaded here and preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Monthly webinar, you're going to get a lot of customers out of that. So
I was going to say, if you get
financially, it'll work out.
20 people turning up once a month that have actually come out of what would you could say, maybe, I don't know, 15% of those who say they will come will be able to come. And then if you get 20 to 30 even people turning up, which is a terrific outcome, even 10% of those people that might sign on, that's a couple of new customers a month. It's terrific.
And you get the recording, and in that recording, you can cut that up and use it for content. One of the reasons why I love StreamYard so much, which is what I'm using here, I'm using StreamYard, of course, to stream this through LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and YouTube Live. Instagram, Twitter. Now, what I love about StreamYard is, so we've been on now for 39 minutes. If you are watching, thank you. Please like, share, and comment. We appreciate you. But StreamYard also records it automatically. So we're not only just doing this live now and hitting our followers, I'm also going to get the recording. We can cut up this, and I will be doing this, by the way, not I will be cutting up this recording and using as content in future dates. And that's the power of it. And by doing that monthly Zoom, it gives you that ability to do that, Tremayne.
Yeah, and look, what blew me away with you, Edward, was because on that tip, that first webinar that Devang and I did, afterwards, it was exactly that conversation, and it probably came off the back of you and I talking, where I think you said, "Don't worry, send out the webinar link and recording to everybody that said they were going to come, and just send an email out to those who couldn't get in, and just make it funny, people." And you know what? You were so right when we came back to those people and said, "We're so sorry, it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah, we
We know
screwed
you
up.
turned
We're
up."
wrong.
We actually went live to an audience of nobody, with everyone at the door knocking to get in, and people laughed. It's like, "Oh, that's funny." But we shared, I guess, our own experience with trying to run a webinar, and we gave them the recording and the slide pack, and that resulted in quite a number of people getting on calls with us and coming on as clients. But then, to your point, because obviously we covered a range of different topics, I think there were 3 or 4 major topics and then subtopics. We went, why don't we just chop that up into a whole lot of
Yeah.
mini posts for LinkedIn? And so out of that, I think it was 40 minute webinar that we ran, there was at least 10 posts that we were able to take from that and just use them as audio posts, like audiograms, where it doesn't necessarily have to be even the video. So I think it's certainly a great way to go. So, Edward,
Yeah.
thank you. That's terrific. Can I ask
Just
you?
as well, another point to make. What I like about Zoom as well is that Zoom, now, love or hate Zoom, right? I personally love Zoom, but love or hate it, I respect a lot of people hate Zoom. Absolutely respect that. I used to hate Zoom, right? Because Zoom, and this is why I give Zoom a lot of praise on this issue. Zoom is the market leader. Everyone's using it. People are used to it.
Yeah.
And Zoom is very user-friendly, right? Out of all the webinar software I've used, Zoom is the most user-friendly. So my point being is that with GoToWebinar, for example, a lot of people had trouble logging on, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You don't get that issue on Zoom. So
it was clunky. It was a clunky experience, actually, to be honest.
yeah. But the beauty of Zoom, at the end of the day, here's the link, right?
Yeah.
Don't use a password. Use waiting room enabled as your security layer, right?
Yeah.
Nothing can look. At the end of the day, it's Zoom. You're just letting people in, because with GoToWebinar, for example, everyone will get their own webinar link, right?
Yeah.
And they'd have to use their own link. And if they don't have a link, they get them in. With Zoom, everyone's got the same link. I just hit admit as they come in, right? Or if you're a bit cagey, you use a password, right? You can use password protect, or you just use waiting room mode. I prefer waiting room mode because that way anyone can join. But obviously, if someone's got a weird account or a troublemaker's coming in, you can get rid of it. And a good thing about Zoom as well is that once you've kicked someone out, they can, on that given account, they can't get back in. So you've got good security from that point of view as well.
Now, from a timing perspective, we played with an idea. We were originally going to do a webinar of an evening, and it was going to be sort of outside of business hours. And then we had the idea, you know what? Who doesn't want to actually have 45-minute opportunity to sit with a coffee and watch something on their screen just before or after lunch, during the business day, where they're actually learning about something that they might need to present to the board on, or they might need to come back to the team on. And it's within business hours, so they're still getting paid for it. Why not actually have it at 11 o'clock in the morning and do it that way? And that worked really, really well for us, as opposed to asking people to give an hour out of the after 5 or whatever time to attend the webinar. What's your experience been? And I know that you deal with people not just in Australia, so you have to get the time zone thing happening, but what would your recommendations be to people on that front?
I've done both. We do events at 2:30 p.m. We do events at 8 p.m. I find they all work because there's pros and cons for both, because the advantage of doing, now I wouldn't do them at lunchtime though. I would do 2:30 p.m. I'll explain to you why. Because oh my God, we got Tim Beanland on the line. Big wave to Tim Beanland. So we got
Hey Tim, how are you, mate?
We love you, Tim. Just going to say as well, if you've been watching, please like, share, and comment. Leave a comment. I can actually read them via StreamYard technology. So great seeing you, Tim. Yeah, so on that point, legendary Tremayne, several points there. And not what we do very well, is there's pros and cons to doing, let's say, 8 p.m. in the evening and doing during the day. But during the day, I'll deal with the during the day issue first. I would not, personally, I like running day events at 2:30 p.m. because people have gotten through their mornings, they've done all their urgent stuff, And in the afternoon, people often will finish their working day on your webinar. So they'll get all their work done by 2:30. Then they'll be, all right, I'm on Tremayne's Zoom right now, right?
Yeah.
That works really well. So I would consider like maybe even a Friday 2:30 or something like that. I wouldn't do 11. I would stay out of that. Because,
but to my point, during business hours, we found look, it's based on the sample of the one we did, so I can't say it's it's been tested, but it's something that was a thought for me. Yeah.
I think for you, I would do 2:30 p.m. I think for you during business hours is good based on your market, right? I wouldn't do 8 p.m. for you. For you, I definitely do 2:30.
Yeah.
Christian, I would do daytime, but I consider a 2:30 slot because I know that works well for the corporate audience. Because they do, they do all their work, they do all their urgent stuff. All right, I'm finished. I'm going to do Tremayne's webinar, and that's going to be the end of my day.
Yeah.
Whereas the problem is if you do it in the morning, because to be honest, 35 out of 200 is actually a low show up rate. It should usually it's about 40%. Your show up rate was a bit low.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes,
well, first time round. Yeah. So who knows? There's probably a lot more we could do with that. We
it should have been about 40%. So if you said to me 60, I would have. So what I'm saying is, I bet you if you did 2:30, more people would show up.
So it could have been a time thing. Well, you know what? I will tap you for a review. We'll go and have a look at a review of that again in terms of my process, because like everything, I think we were advertising it. Obviously, we were sending out invites through. We made it a LinkedIn event, and for those that are accepting on the LinkedIn event, we were dropping them through the invite and everything else to get it into the calendar and that sort of thing. And look, it's a process, I guess. So for anyone who wants to understand that process and getting it right, it pays to look. It's if you've got the time to spend a whole lot of time and effort to try and do it for yourself, good luck. Hopefully Murphy's Law and the luck of the Irish do not apply to you, but it might be worth talking to someone about a solid approach to use. And on that note, Edward, not everybody. And this is not a blatant pitch to outsource or to hand off work. This is actually the genuine truth. And I don't think I'm alone in this, that a lot of people, when they get into starting to look at using LinkedIn, creating content, learn what they need to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it might be that there's not a massive allocated budget for digital marketing. So they're prepared to roll their sleeves up, as we all do, and understand it, learn it, and try and do what you can yourself or internally. It can end up being something where you do go down a bit of a rabbit hole and get quite consumed by the amount of time and effort, because people who realize the potential end up having teams that help manage it. On the first piece of that being creating good content and showing up regularly, what tips can you give everybody around how they can do that, including, if I don't mind saying, perhaps engaging someone like the amazing Tim Beanland to shoot videos, or so the combination of the high end versus low end with your camera, and also the written content. What would the best advice you could give someone on that?
Yeah, what I say to everyone as a default, start by sharing just general content, right? You don't have to get up there and play the expert. Just start by sharing general ideas, share general motivational content, share value with the audience. And if you're not comfortable in getting in front of the camera, and a lot of people aren't at the start, me included, so I respect that, you might start by just doing text and photos, right? Just do text and photos. Easy, right? Yeah. Start doing videos when you get more advanced. You might do what we're doing. You might use, if you're not comfortable doing a live, you might just Zoom interview someone. So if something goes wrong, you can, delete it or start again or cut it up. But do a Zoom interview with one of your clients. Ask them a lot of questions and use that as video content. So I find doing interviews is one of the best way of getting content. If you're more advanced or more you're just more reckless like Edward's ear is, right? you might turn around and say, stuff it, I'm going to go get LinkedIn Live approval, which I did last week. Thank you, Marlon de Cruz. You might go get LinkedIn Live approval and get StreamYard and say, stuff it, I'm just going to stream away. And if something happens, then boo-hoo. So it depends on what style you are. If you're like kicking the door and shoot every one character like me, just sign up to StreamYard and LinkedIn Live and go for it. If you're much more sane and logical and understand that there's something called risk, and you're not a lunatic like me, just Zoom interview someone. Something goes wrong, you just redo it, right?
Yeah, and I can see Tim's saying here, Tim Beanland, big fan of interviews, and I support that. If you've got some colleagues or people that are interested in trying to do some content as well, like I'm doing this with a number of people where you interview each other, and perhaps it's easier to answer a question and not seem like you're blatantly selling your stuff if you're just having a chat with someone you feel comfortable with. And that's what I love, watching content with people that seem like, even if there's a little bit of nerves there, but they seem like they're genuinely being themselves.
Yeah. And on
Sometimes
that
when it's
note,
a bit too polished, I go, oh, I feel a bit
yeah.
like I'm being sold to. It's a bit too polished here. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a big snake. There's a bit snake oil sort of salesman going on here, you know?
Yeah, well said. And yeah, and on the note with Tim, I was just going to say as well, Tim interviewed, for example, one of Tim's, I would say Tim Beanland's an amazing guy and a big influencer, so make sure you connect with him. What catapulted Tim to fame was he interviewed Jim, as in from Jim's Mowing, the successful Australian businessman, right?
Yeah.
So you can interview someone famous to get yourself going, and Tim Beanland did that well, to Tim's amazing credit, and power to you, Tim.
Yeah. Oh, but a lot of the amazing videos you see out there, if you don't know who's behind them, it'll probably be Beanland. So he does amazing work, and yeah, big fans. Now, and then in terms of creating content, Edwards, for example, let's say written content versus video, something I've played with a bit. So I'll let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. Devang and I, when I had a big Santa Claus beard, I looked like an Irish fisherman, and we're all
like the fisherman's friends. Isn't there like
fisherman's friend? Yeah,
and the fisherman's friends. Those cough lollies. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're really, really strong. Yeah,
I look like I can imagine you as a maritime wharfie having a fisherman's friend.
Yeah, with the pipe.
Exactly.
With the pipe. And a monocle. Yeah, a monocle as well.
Now you sound a bit like Colonel Clink from Hogan's Heroes. Hogan!
That's right, yeah. Well, so we did. It was on the back of the webinars. I think we went into the first big lockdown of Melbourne, and everyone was just throwing out the quorum. We were just like, let's just do stuff. So Devang and I shot a whole lot of interviews just on the back of what we're talking about, and the chats were good. The audio sounded good. Going back on it, I guess replaying or repurposing that content would have been a challenge, because it was pretty clear the time of it, and we had a beard, and we didn't look terrific. But so what we did, and it was a great idea to sort of try, and then it's played really quite well, was we just grabbed the audio from those posts and repurposed the content again as audiograms.
Yeah, easy.
No video.
Good workaround.
And for someone who's not comfortable in being on video or on camera, look, personally, we've seen that works really quite well, and it kind of breaks things up from it not being a video every day. Like if you have, if you've got some videos you want to put up, and you can put an audiogram up, what would be the balance? Now, if you're going to say some insane thing like 3-5 times a day, Tremayne, how often, honestly, for someone getting into wanting to build out their audience and generate some brand awareness and interest, would you say that they should be trying to post some content?
Look, default once a day.
Once a day, okay.
Once a day, and it depends on how fast you want to grow. But I say, look, I'm going to give you this answer, right? If you look at all the top influencers on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, for that matter, a lot of them got famous by posting 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah,
right.
For someone in business is not wanting to get famous; they're wanting to become known as, let's say, it's someone who's a broker of some sort.
Yeah,
and in their area, they want to get known as someone who is a broker that people could trust. And so if I needed a broker for insurance or mortgages, whatever it might be, they would stand out.
Once a day.
Once a day.
Look, I would say, using the broker as an example, right? That's a great example. We love brokers. We got about a third of our community are in finance, so we love those people.
Yeah.
But starting once a day is awesome. Like, I think posting as a default for brokers, finance people, but anyone on LinkedIn, once a day is beautiful, because it's easy to do. It's sustainable. It's not going to take too much time.
Yeah.
If you want to really take off, 2 to 3 times a day is good. Yeah. If you want to go like you want to be the best, you want to go for it, I post 10 times a day on LinkedIn, right? Some people do that. The odd person I say that to goes off and does it. So if you want to, but look, I say, post once a day. Yeah. If you really want to take off, do 2 or 3 times a day. If you've got psychological issues like me and you're just feeling insecure and you've got to take over, then post 10 times a day. But actually, I just wondering if I'm 100,000 followers yet. I'm about to hit 100,000 followers. Have I made it yet?
How many are
Probably
you up
haven't,
to?
so I'm going to humiliate myself. I'm going to look like an absolute goose right now. I'm just checking now my phone.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I haven't yet. I just humiliated myself. I am
Up
currently
there.
at 9982 followers. I don't know if you can see. Yes, you can see it
Oh,
there.
come on, guys. If you haven't already followed Edward, you need to follow him. I need 120 more followers myself to get to the milestone. And people put up their milestones. I've not yet. Oh, look, there's us two there.
Yeah.
There
You know
you
what's
go.
really cool? I just realized that then when you're doing a live, that's why I love LinkedIn. When you're doing a live on LinkedIn, it actually shows you on your profile, be it phone or PC. But there you go.
How good's that?
I need another 18 followers. So there you go. That actually looks
Come on, there's got to be
outstanding.
18 people out there that can jump on and follow
Oh.
Edward. I needed 120 more to get to my 25,000 followers, which
Are you
quite
almost
proud of.
25,000 followers?
Yeah, I'm quite proud of that because it's not, yeah. I'm not
That's
looking to be an
incredible.
influencer, just keen to be able to use the platform to build my network. And on that note, I think I put a
Yeah.
post up. Yeah, thank you for posting those photos of us at the gallery, mate.
That was good.
It was so good, and it was what a great day too. We had a ball. It was it was great. I like the gallery in Melbourne. I'm a bit of an art lover and a bit of a lefty muso and everything else. But
I'm from Melbourne, darling. So there you go, Melbourne.
Yeah.
Lattes and coffee.
Yeah.
I'm from Melbourne originally, so I can say that. I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah. Oh, my girlfriend's a big art lover too. She's got some really weird and out there art in her walls. But it's an interesting one. I think this networking thing with LinkedIn in terms of building our network, no different to building our network as we have in business over the years, where through clients and through conferences and through events and industries, we get to know who's who, and face-to-face networking. What's become clear to me is that, and it's such a great upside. I've made some terrific friends.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come and go, of course, because there are people that jump in and it's pretty clear after a period of time, they're really just wanting to leech whatever the information they can from you and then jump off to serve their own purpose. And they're not really actually people, because whether or not you do business together, you can still support each other. And we have referrals come from all sorts of industries where we wouldn't be doing direct business with that person, and vice versa, we would refer to them. And so I've ended up with just such a fantastic network of new friends, such as yourself and Lassie and Tim and Adrian and Rena and Dr. Liz and so many people. So it's really fantastic that can happen, and that it can become something that we're supporting each other. I really like that aspect to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I commend, LinkedIn's done it. I think Microsoft, Bill Gates and LinkedIn have nailed it. It's the ultimate professional networking platform, and especially as well, talking the pandemic. As you know, we're in I think day 70 of our lockdown in Sydney, our aftershock lockdown.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah. And so on that note, you and I were talking yesterday, and I live and die by now, trying to sort of stay fit and trying to do exercise, having been someone who's been drunk the ocean dry and been a smoker and not very healthy and not looked after myself, and had my rock bottom experience 5 or so years back, and then clawed my way back to healthy, happy and successful and those things. It's the old thing, and I think the same applies with business, but I've got my dumbbells and I've got some weights and stuff here, but when it comes to it, you just can't beat getting down and doing a couple of press-ups. Hello. We've got a young influencer here. How are you, Maddie?
I'll have to go in a minute because the kids will destroy. The kids are going to take over. But in that
lunchtime, Dad, it's lunchtime.
I know the kids are going to take me away, who I love. But I was going to say, I've started doing 100 push-ups a day. Just do a set of 15 push-ups every now and then. It's felt great and been awesome.
Yeah, you're looking buff, mate. I'm on that. I've done my 15 this morning, and I'm going to, try and, I don't know whether I'll get 100 today, but I will certainly try it. But this has been terrific fun. It's been great. It's I feel like I've managed to jag an hour of your time and pick your brains. And you know what? The fact that it's been shared with an audience, and maybe other people should get some value from it too. If when is your next workshop? Because you've moved to online, obviously, because of COVID. When is the next workshop?
Yeah, and by the way, one of your Jean booked in for it, and thank you. And you're very invited. So our next workshop is Saturday the 11th. Is 10 a.m. Sydney time on Saturday the 11th of September.
Great. So it's about just under 2 weeks away, a week and a half away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you're
sure.
interested or anyone interested, just message me. And Bronwyn Clark also said, Bronwyn Clark wants to connect with you on LinkedIn. So connect with Bronwyn. I've known Bronwyn for years and she's an amazing
Yes,
lady.
absolutely, Roman. I will do. It'd be great to connect.
Thank you. Miss Piggy
All right,
said,
guys.
I have to go now. Miss Piggy needs me. Do you need me?
Daddy cuddle.
Oh, she needs cuddles. I have to run now, but
All right.
Tremayne,
Priorities.
and thank you to our fans. Thank you for watching. Don't stick your finger in my ear. There we go. I better go before I get it. I better
You're
run,
being
Tremayne.
attacked.
I'm under attack.
Takedown. It's an Edwards ear takedown. Look out.
I'm losing. Tremayne,
Yeah, mate.
thank
All
you
the
so
best.
much for everything.
Cheers.
See you guys. Love your work, everyone. Bye.
Bye.